welcome back. Today I like to show you how I set up my personal website. That is a very simple level of blog by using Google Domain, Hugo CMS, and GitHub. And that these are the essential components. And if you want something tricky, like and also Vercel.com. Sorry, I forgot about Vercel. That is the actually key component. Everything is important, but you will see how Vercel plays a role. Uh, and how it connects my Google domain to my GitHub and how it's doing the publishing of my website or my blog post. So let's dive into it. I'm logged in with my Gmail account and I'm logged into console.cloud.google.com. And if you never used it before, this is actually Google Cloud, or more famously, it's called GCP, Google Cloud Platform. You can see I have a domain configured and I registered this domain using their cloud DNS service or their domain service basically. And how you can take this. If you are very new to Google Cloud, you might see a ticker or some small thin yellowish bar or grayish bar, depends. It might read something like this: you are eligible to $300 or $200 USD credit. So you can avail Google services to that amount, yeah, equal to that amount. And sometimes they credit it monthly. So it depends, like what offer you got once you sign into this platform. So to register a domain, you come here to this search bar, you type domain, you see these cloud domains, you click on it, it will show you this page that was like showing you I was showing you previously already. And here you can see this button, register domain. So you click on it, you find any domain you like, maybe Asia Cup 2024. Let's see. So they have Asia Cup 2024.com available for $12 a year, $12 per year. Let's say you like it. You click on this one, this shopping cart thing, it will add it to your cart. You can see the pricing again here. And then from this step, like I choose my domain obviously once when I was doing the registration. And I pick this recommended option because it's recommended, and why not to trust Google, yeah. So from there you just click continue, and eventually you will be, after clicking the register button, they will show you and they will also email you like we registered your domain. And you will see in that list, like I was showing you in my previous screen, your domain with the green tick and with the status active. They might not charge you $12 initially. Maybe they will charge you once your year is ending, or maybe they charge you initially, depends on their business rule, country, from which country you are applying. I don't know. But the maximum amount, if you pick the $12 domain per year, you will maximum charges you have to like settle or pay is $12 per year. For now, what I do, I will delete this thing and cancel it out. And once you complete that step, eventually your domain, whatever domain you pick, should come here uh, with under the domain name with the status active and with this green tick. So that's the first step. Why, like when you are trying to set up your own website for any reason, for personal portfolio, for personal blog, or some company, small level company or medium sized company website, or even large scale, yeah. Essentially, there are two components: your domain registration or your domain itself, and then your web hosting. I used to pay for them both, sometime from the same provider that is selling domain and hosting in a single package. And since it's a single package, single provider, price is sometime higher. And if you are buying it separately, one domain from, let's say, provider A and hosting from provider B, maybe you will get a discounted price. But then there is a more configuration headache between two companies, because your domain might say, for if you encounter any problem like this is issue on your hosting side, and hosting side might say, okay, this is issue on your domain provider side. So you will be a bouncing ball between these two parties if you had a bad luck. Yeah. I faced this issue, and currently, with my new website, I didn't wanted to pay a lot and to two parties at, yeah, especially when I discovered certain websites and tools that are free. So domain you have to pay. I didn't find any provider that is giving you domain for free. So I'm only paying $12 for my domain. So that is settled. Once my domain is active, what I wanted to do, I wanted to have a kind of blog using some CMS engine. I had two choices, either go with WordPress, and this is very popular option out there. And I used to work with WordPress, like did website using WordPress. It's a dynamic CMS. That means it has a database that is MySQL or maybe it's MariaDB now. For a long time, I'm not using WordPress anymore. Yeah, and it's written in PHP. It's very popular, but it's dynamic. That means like every if you're visiting a listing page of your blog posts that is coming from database, it will take time to create or compute that results it from database engine or from database server, and then give it to your PHP server or your WordPress server that will take those things, wrap it around in some HTML elements, some CSS, JavaScript. They will create an HTML view or HTML page with all the design things inside it, and that will eventually land to your window, like you can see here, the full web page. On the other hand, you have other solutions that are called static websites. Yeah, what static website does, it takes your files from your system, like sitting inside your folder. Maybe you have 10 files, each file belongs to one blog post, and you run some magical command or magical command line utility. It depends like what kind of CMS you are using for your plain text website or static website, like I'm showing you right now, Jekyll. Once you run this command, it will stitch all these files together. It will generate a website based on those files, configuration, your theme settings, and whatever you put in there, and you will have a website that doesn't involve any database. Downside of it, if your website grows eventually in future, maybe you started from 3 pages or 3 blog posts. So it's simple. As soon as you run this command, you see it's serving your website on this address, localhost, currently localhost with port 4000. Yeah. So imagine this started under a 1 second time period. Yeah. But if your website now has 1 million, after a year, 1 million blog posts, many images, maybe some videos filed as well. Now it will take time to link all those 1 million pages together to generate a sitemap and to stitch all those pages together. So all the hyperlinks or all the references work without any problem. So now it might take, depending on what kind of CPU you have, what kind of machine you have, and what tool you are using, like Jekyll or something else, how performant is that tool itself. So it might take maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 1 hour. It depends. So that time might will grow eventually. Yeah, that's the downside of it. One downside of it. But the plus website of it, WordPress was doing all this on runtime. So user was waiting until server is computing this page, setting up all the hyperlinks, and once done, then user will see all those pages. With Jekyll or this plain text engines, since all the time is already spent on compile time, now you have a pure static website containing HTML, CSS, and JS. There is no database. There is no wait time for a database to join everything from different tables and then return the result. Yeah. So user wait time will be minimal. It will only wait for the that static page to load from server and then shove it to your browser or serve it inside your browser. So little bit introduction about Hugo. Hugo CMS is also a static website generator. It takes your files sitting on inside a folder or on your machine, on your laptop, desktop, whatever you have. And once you run a build command, it takes all these content, it stitch them together and generate a static website inside a public folder. And what you can do, you can take that public folder, and if you have a hosting, maybe a paid hosting, you can just using FTP or some other tool, you can just copy those files to your hosting, and there you go. You don't need to set up some programming language, some SDK, some database, and then the connections, firewall, blah blah blah. That website, that static website will just work. Hugo is written with Golang. Like the programming language is Golang basically, and this Golang is coming from Google again. So Google is behind Golang. I also work with Golang as a backend engineer. So that was a whole demo about, not demo, like brief introduction about Hugo. So how I set up my tool chain or my website, I'm only paying for Google domain, and rest of the things I'm using for free. Hugo is free. You can click on quick start. You can then check how you can install it. I used to have this installed on my Windows machine, on my Linux machine, and now I'm using Mac, so it's installed on my Mac as well. So three major platforms are covered. You need to go and read their installation instruction. Once Hugo is installed, what you can do, you can just create a folder basically for your website. Use Hugo new website, like follow just these instructions, and eventually your website will be up and running. Your most basic, most empty website will be up and running. And how much time and efforts you put into it, obviously, like how you will do different configurations, how you install different themes. Once you learn that thing, that will pay off usually. And you can do this same similar setup for small businesses, for your friends. Maybe if you have multiple website or multiple ideas, you can use it, and all this is free. What I like most, I can click and go on theme section, and these are different themes. I do not need to pay to any designer, and then to a front end guy, and then to a Hugo guy, to like designer to just generate this design in Photoshop or Figma. Then another front end guy, I need to pay to convert that design into HTML and CSS, and then pay third time to some backend guy or to Hugo guy to convert that HTML into Hugo theme, or integrate that HTML into my Hugo setup. If I like some theme, like maybe this one, I click on the demo. I see this is the style. Maybe I like this minimal style. These are different blog posts. There is paging going on. This is the paging style. If this is like what you like for your simple blog, then just take this thing, install it inside your Hugo. There is a documentation out there. I will not go into right now how to set up all these things. I just want to show you what's possible right now, yeah, and for free without paying anything. So after this, what I have my blog post running locally. Let me show you. So you can see this is my Hugo folder, and inside my Hugo folder, I have my blog folder and all my blog website, all the files, JavaScript, CSS, images, different blog posts, all running inside this, all sitting inside this folder. And this folder is monitored by Git. I'm using Git version control. So all these files are essentially published to my GitHub uh, repository, basically. So you can see I have a post folder, and inside my post folder, I have different posts. So this is my repo here. So all that code I was showing on my local system is published here as a GitHub repository. And now the magic is this website, this Vercel.com. So if I show you, you can see my blog. This is one project blog. This is linked with my GitHub repository. I can show you in setting, Git. You can see that, let me bring this tab here. You can see this Najam SK /blog. So this Najam slash blog is linked with my Vercel project, this project blog. Yeah, again, Git, and I'm tracking the master branch. So I'm linking my repository and I'm telling which branch to monitor for changes. So what Vercel does, it's monitoring this repo and it's monitoring the master branch. Every time there is a change, it will start a build. It will trigger a build, and that build is actually Hugo commands. So those, let me show the general. Every time I publish something into my repo, Vercel will pick it up. It will trigger these build Hugo commands because you can see framework preset is set to Hugo, and it will try to make a new based on the changes. It will republish or rebuild my website using Hugo framework, and then whenever user is writing my domain name on my website in their address bar, they will get the fresh copy. So output of this command will be hosted inside Vercel. And if I show you my deployments, so you can see in last 4 hours, I made a change. And this is all my these are all my changes to my blog. And if I don't like my current version that is deployed, I can click on these three dots and redeploy the previous version, maybe a version from last week. Other than that, you have these, let me show you build logs. So once it detects changes, you can see this is the build log. What it does, it will go and clone my GitHub repo, the blog repo, master branch. And after it clones it on Vercel server, will start building the website and dependencies. You can see it's building, checking websites, and then this is the output of your build activity. It built 182 pages. It also did some pagination. It has this many static files. All these are linked properly. It generated a sitemap. And eventually, to your deployment, this is your deployment status. Like after build is completed, we'll try to deploy it. And now deployment is completed. And you can see your site is ready. You will have this green, light green icon or dot in front. That means your site is ready. Yeah. And I already show you my domain basically. Let me show you my custom domain. So click on blog again, go to settings, go to domains. So you see, so Vercel.com is important because it's acting as a bridge between my Google domain. So Google is redirecting all the traffic to Vercel. So I draw this rough picture. So we started from Google domain, we got our domain, we linked that domain inside our Vercel project or inside our Vercel account. This Vercel account is linked with our github.com account and linked with a repo and tracking a branch called master or any branch you choose, like you want to give it to it. Yeah, any branch you supply to Vercel, it will start monitoring on top of that one. And once changes are pulled from GitHub, Vercel will deploy. Vercel will start a new build, deploy, and that new deployment is accessible to anyone who is writing this uh, address in their browser. So this was for if you are a programmer or developer, yeah, you know your command line, you know you have installed some kind of programming IDE like Visual Studio, Golang, JetBrains, or whatever you are using, yeah. If you are building all these things for a client or for some non-technical guy, then you need a web editor. So if you configure Tina CMS, you will have some this kind of experience, yeah, where you will have a form and a rich text editor or a web editor. You put your title, you start typing your content. You, if you want something bold, you just select and bold, maybe make hyperlinks, add categories, whatever is out, like whatever is possible using this editor, you can take advantage of it. So how it will look like, you need to first set up um, Tina.io with your GitHub, with your like your project, basically your local project. So you see all these green checks. These were the setup that I need to perform to configure Tina. That involves installing Node.js inside your Hugo folder where your website is living here. Also, use this client ID, and there is a read-only token inside that I cannot show you right now. So you use these two things, and then if all these check marks becomes green, then what you will do, and I reached this step after too many retries. I maybe spent 3 to 4 hours or maybe more, and I did many trial and errors with different kind of configuration and different setup, reading the documentation and issues from their repo, and eventually I made it work for myself, yeah, for my website. And now what, like you can see, if I click view site, it will open my actual website. Yeah, there is nothing unusual there, simple website. But if I click on edit website, it will put this slash admin in front. So what TNS does, if you configure it properly and you set it properly, you can use this slash admin in front of your domain and it will load this UI. So this folder is also now published with your website, and that's why when you are typing this slash admin, you get this administrative interface. And now I can click on the post and it will list all the posts uh, published to my GitHub, because all this data is coming from there. And now what I can do, I can click on maybe some single blog post, and you can see it's loaded the title, it loaded all the body, it loaded all the code snippets and everything. So maybe for a new user or for a non-technical user, it's much easier. This is the body, title is under, and then you can change the dates, and maybe if you click on the date, a nice date picker will open. You can enable or disable comments. You can add more categories like maybe shopping, health, sports, whatever you are, um, you know, thinking of. It's possible, and all this is like using your mouse and keyboard, click and type, drag and drop. You can link images. You can create link list, and I mean to say um, list items, or basically an ordered list and ordered list. So like if I have a list of maybe project one, project two, so you can see how is easy it is. Maybe I have different lines like this, and if I select it and I click on this, it makes a UL again. So you don't need to actually type markdown code directly or HTML. You can use these editor icons, and you can format your content or your blog post however you want. Yeah. So there is this number list and disk list or bullet list out there for you to use, that bold, italic, and this is the actual markdown syntax. So if you know how to write markdown, you can come directly and just skip that visual rich text editor and just type your markdown directly, and it will render the same way. Basically, I like to use this code approach more, and since if I'm working with the code approach, I don't see why someone will be working with Tina CMS. This is for the, as I said, someone who don't know how to code or who don't know how to write markdown. So it makes sense for them to use. So this was Tina CMS, and as you can see, I just reset my changes. Let me just quickly show you how I'm running it locally. So this is Vim, and inside Vim, this is my main folder. And inside my main folder, this is content folder. Inside content, I have post. Inside post, these are all the posts I have. Let's say I find web usage. So I'm already on web usage, this blog post. You can see this, the top section, I have this front matter or metadata. And based on this thing, Hugo is stitching and putting title to different blog posts and date and timestamps, if it's published or not, like it's in draft mode or not. And rest of it is simple markdown. Like the only weird thing is this highlight thing, the short code that I'm using for sharing code snippets. Other than that, mostly I have textual elements going on. Once I'm done with the thing, what I can do if I want to run all this setup locally before publishing it to see if it's working good, I can do Hugo server. You can see how much fast it compiles everything, and it's started our local server, localhost 1313, and now you can see same website running locally. You can see localhost. This is all the pages or blog posts actually, and I have two views with these themes. One is this title, date, and paragraph kind of thing with pagination going under. Second view is listing all the posts as a list item, yeah, with no pagination. And you can see whatever view I'm loading is super fast. Like as soon as I click, it's just random because there is no database or something like that. No runtime calculation. It's just loading static already linked elements or pages basically. And there this theme may be no longer available on Hugo themes. Um, but since I know Golang and I also know front-end development, based on my needs, if I need changes, I just keep adding them and keep changing stuff as per my use cases. So this was full-fledged uh, setup with minimal cost, only paying $12 per year to Google, and rest of this thing is free. And I in return I get this website that is super fast to load, looks decent, and feels like it's a dynamic website because I can make changes to it, either from the web UI, either from web UI, or my preferred method is just run my local system. I make changes, publish them to my GitHub, and Vercel will pick them up. There you go. If you have any questions, do let me know. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye bye.